Hello everyone, welcome back to AndroCoder. In today's video, we are going to learn CSS, starting from level 1, which is basic level, all the way up to advanced or pro level. So, if you're a student who doesn't know anything about coding, programming, or development, you will learn things from this video. How coding is done? What is the importance of CSS in web development? How do we actually use CSS? We'll learn to write CSS, explore its different concepts in 5 levels. In these 5 levels, we'll study concepts and also solve their practice questions. In the end, using all these concepts, we'll create a clone of Amazon's website. This means that it will only look like Amazon website, but will not perform functions like it, so even if you have no prior knowledge, we'll start from scratch. We'll practice well, learn different concepts, and ultimately demonstrate how to build a clone of a website and prepare your project using these concepts. Along with that, I had divided these 5 levels into 5 parts. And after completing all 5 parts, you will become a pro in CSS. Along with programming, whatever code I have written or any notes I had made, all those things will be available in the description box, which you can use for your revision anytime. But before we dive into the details, make sure you hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you never miss any of our coding and web project tutorials. Let's jump right in. When we need to write program code, we require a code editor. For writing code, we will use Visual Studio Mobile. A code editor is similar to a notebook where we write things down. Similarly, when we need to write code, we use a code editor, which comes with various resources and useful features. The code editor provides us with a lot of external functionality. Right from the beginning, we will prepare your environment so that if you want to work on the projects discussed in this video, or if you want to build your own website in the future, or create more complex software systems, it will be easier for you because we will make use of the most seamless and efficient processes available. Since this Visual Studio Mobile is freely available, so anyone can use it. I have already discussed in my previous videos that from where you can download Visual Studio Mobile, so go and watch those videos. Before we start, let's have an overview of the 3 basic technologies. When we begin web development, we learn 3 languages, the first of which is HTML. We have already completed it, and I will provide HTML playlist link in comment section. The second is CSS, which we will complete in these 5 videos, and the third is JavaScript, which we will complete after completing CSS. Now, what does HTML do? If I imagine my website, which may look like Amazon, Flipkart, or any other website, HTML helps to create structure of these websites just like a house, which has many items inside it. Now let's talk about CSS job, which is to style a website. In other words, we've seen different websites. These websites look beautiful, mainly because of the CSS they've written. For example, the items present inside the house have which color or which size, and which colors and size will be complementary for my house. All these things will be defined by CSS. The third one is JS. It provides functionality in our website, like by tapping on which button our purchase will start, by tapping on which button our order will place, how can our order will be selected for purchase. All these functions and many more things are performed by JS. For example, if we tap on a switch in our house, then a fan will or a light will on. JS make these functionality possible. In today's video, we will focus on color, status, all the things that are part of my CSS, which is the important things when we talk about front-end development. Why are they important? Let's take many examples. Whenever we go to a website that seems premium to us like Netflix, it could be because their font is modern. Instead of pictures, they might show you 3D animations or studio animations with movement. They have used colors very well. There's plenty of white space. The font style is well maintained. So, these kinds of things, when they're present on a website, our consumer is more willing to pay more for the product. This is a very basic human psychology that many brands use. That's why every brand wants to shoot a bit premium in the market. Like many food brands that use less red and yellow. Someone will use red or someone will use yellow because the color red makes us slightly hungrier. If you look at the example of KFC and McDonald's, their primary color will show you red and yellow. Or if you take the example of blue color, it's a color of stability. So many websites related to banking use blue color. You take example of PayPal, the color they use as primary color is blue because blue gives users a feeling of security and stability because they are putting their money. It will go to the right place and there won't be any loss. So, even a small thing like color from red to blue affects the user's psychology. When you build a website, you have to read a lot. When we start development, today we will talk about completing this. First, let's talk about our first level, which will be the basics of CSS. Before creating our new file, what will we do? We will create a folder called Classroom. You can create a folder with any name you like. I have created a folder called Classroom, and within this folder, we will write all our code. We had created a folder called Classroom. We will go to that folder and create a file named index.html. It is a HTML file because to write CSS for a web page, we need HTML code. Just like if you want to paint a house, you need walls to be there. Similarly, to write CSS, there should be an element to style. So the most important thing we create is our HTML file. Writing.html in the last of file name is essential because it indicates that it is our web page file. Now, if you run this HTML file, a blank web page with nothing written above it will appear. No element, no text, no content. That's why we create an index.html file as our starting point. You can also create folders inside the Classroom folder if you want. So instead of index, you can give it any other name. But if we're beginners, it's a good idea. If we start with index name, everything will match, reducing your chances of errors. Because if errors come up, you'll need time to debug and solve them. But the coder who faces errors becomes a better coder in the future because all the errors that you face now will make your development journey much easier later. Next, we move to the level and start understanding how CSS works. If we talk about the full form of CSS, it's Cascading Style Sheet, meaning it's not a programming language like you might have heard of Java or Python, where we write code and create variables, loops, and many other things. CSS is a styling language. Its main purpose is to be used for styling art. So we create a style sheet named style.css to edit styles. Now, what does styling mean? This will become clear a bit later when we cover this concept, because right now, if we delve into skating, things will get a bit complex for now. I mean, if you want to style a web page on top of any web page, we need to have HTML code. So before we write CSS, we write our HTML. I will do a small thing now. I will write a basic HTML code. Now, what should I do here? I will create a heading where I will write, "Hello from AndroCoder." After saving this, we will see heading "Hello from AndroCoder" will appear on display with big size because we have used H1 for heading, and H1 have by default big size. Now, whatever text we write, what color is it inside the web page? Its color is black. If the color should become red, what can we write for it? For that, we can set the color to red. But for which elements should this color be? We need to specify that using selectors. We use selectors to target the element on which our styling will be applied, like here. I have taken my selector. Heading. Then we apply our curly brackets. There are many brackets. We call them curly because they look curly. Inside these, we write our property value pairs. That means first we tell the property we want to set, and then we specify the value we want to set it to. As much text as we have or as much material content we have, if I want to set its color, we use the property name color. And by simply setting the color value, we can change our text color. So my property is color, and after our property, we apply colons. Then we write our value. If I want to set it to red, I will write red. If I want to set it to blue, I will write blue. Finally, with our semicolon, which we can call the statement terminator, if you don't apply it, you won't get an error in most cases. Write single property values again, then we apply them because it's good programming practice. See how it becomes evident whether an experienced programmer wrote the code or a new child didn't write the code. That's why we practice applying them right from the beginning. So, what will remain basic for us to write? Something like this. I'm writing it in code now. Right now, we're just understanding it by memorizing it. Now, when we read all these things, and we have a lot of property values, you'll feel like I've memorized so many properties, because right now it's just the color, property, and other properties that we also have to remember. These small things come with practice, and we Google most things in development because we remember all the properties. For very few, you need to remember, like syntax, which comes from outside to inside property value, pair. Just remember these small things. Besides that, all the other things, we need to focus on understanding them thoroughly. We need to go deep into them and figure out how to work them out. So, this is our basic way of writing it. If you want to shoot CSS inside any file, there are 3 ways. The first way is to use inline styling. Suppose I want to add styling inside our H1 tag. So I will style it. By writing property value pair inside the style attribute, what is the property? The property is color, and I've set it to red. Let's refresh. And what happened? The color of my heading has changed to red. If I want, I can set it to a different color as well. Let's create another heading and set its value to green. After saving, the second heading will appear in green color. In this way, you can test it yourself. You can do it in pink, you can do it in blue, you can talk about the little cute colors of general color at the end. These are the colors that we learned from childhood. I have set my HTML style like this. And the other way to set it is using the style tag, where we can write our entire styling. The way to write styling is the same. We write a selector, then inside it, we write property value pairs. For example, here, if I remove this inline styling of headings, after saving heading again, turn in black, and if I want to set heading in red color again, then I will simply use style tag. First, write style tag inside the head tag. Here we write our style. Inside styling, I will select the heading with the selector and write its property and value. We will write color as property and red as value. If we refresh it, then our H1 becomes red. Let's create another heading, Hello from Andro Coder in green. After saving, second heading color is also turns red. Why? Because we have selected H1 for styling in style tag, no matter how many headings we will create and what we write inside these headings. But if we use H1 for heading, then they all turns in red because we have selected H1. And if you want to change the color of headings, then simply change the value in style tag. Now, the other way to apply styles is external style sheet. When we look at big websites, such as Netflix, Amazon, and many other websites, they all have many selectors for their styling. So in maximum cases, the method used is an external style sheet. It means we create another file with .css in the end of its name and create a link between HTML and CSS file. Writing styling inside this CSS file is the same. We write a selector, and then inside it, we write property and values. First, remove style tag. After saving, red color from headings was removed. I've already created an external CSS file named style.css. Now I will write selector, property, and value. After saving this, nothing will happen because we had not linked our CSS file to HTML file yet. For linking CSS file with HTML, we write link and then write style sheet inside the rel attribute. Rel attribute indicates relation of our CSS file, HTML file. We write CSS for styling purpose. That is why we write style sheet inside the rel attribute for linking. After rel attribute, we write href attribute in which we write the path of our external CSS file. I have created CSS file and HTML file in same folder named classroom. That is why I am writing /style.cs, but if you create a new folder inside the classroom folder and you put this external CSS file inside that new folder, then you will write /new folder name /style.cos. After saving this, you will see our headings are turned red. If I make value from red to green, then the color of all headings will turn green. Now, one special thing is that whatever styling you write within the external style sheet, you should never try to change that styling by inline styling or style tag, because if we do, this then inline styling will always take priority. For example, if I go into my first heading and set the style to red inside, and now I refresh, what will happen? The inline color value red have replaced external style sheet color value green. Both headings are written in H1 tag, but in first heading, inline styling has taken priority. So when we try to exchange these external styles, there will be places where something else is set within the external, and when we write large code or when we're creating large projects, it becomes difficult for us to remember where we set properties for which element. So we try to minimize confusion. That's why we aim to write the maximum style within the CSS file. We don't need to write too much CSS within the HTML file unless it will absolutely necessary. Now, we'll discuss the color property. The color property is used for foreground color. So, whenever we talk about layout, let's assume we are graphic designers creating some design or painters. They are creating paintings. In a way, we can also consider ourselves as painters, and we set the layout, painting, colors, and all the design-related aspects of our web pages or websites. When we talk about a layout, we consider two portions. One is my foreground, which is visible to me in the front, and there's a background. Let's take a very basic example. Like I have this pen placed on paper now. The paper is my background, and the pen became my foreground. Whatever is set in the foreground, like text, all the text comes in the foreground, and it is visible to me. Or if I show a link on top of my web page, it will also appear above. So there are two things, the background and the foreground. What about my color property? It's for the foreground. So if I want to set the color of text, button color, or link color, we use this color property to set it. But for the foreground, what does the foreground mean? Whatever elements are visible to us, their color is set using the color property. This way, we have around 100 or more names that are predefined, like yellow color, white color, black color, gray color, brown color, and many different colors are available, which we can set using the color property for foreground. Let's look at some examples. The best example was the heading that we have already seen. If I create a heading, this is a heading, and because I've already written color value green for H1, so when I save it, our heading will appear in green. In addition, let's create a paragraph with the help of p tag. Now, if we refresh, the paragraph's color will remain black by default. All the text has a default color black. But to set the paragraph's color, I can write what my selector will be for all the paragraphs. Here, within the selector, we write P for all p tag. If I want paragraph will display in purple, so I will write color value purple for paragraph in CSS file. When I save it, our paragraph is appearing in purple, but it is light, so if I want to highlight it a bit more, then I will simply change the value to red instead of purple. I have refreshed the page and it changed to the red color. We can do this for a button. I created a button and on the button I wrote click me. By default, it has color black. I want to give it another color, so I can simply write button for selector. Now we will set its color value to brown. After saving this, our click me button is appearing on display in brown color. So this way, we can set the colors for foreground of different elements. I have already covered various elements in my HTML video, so watch the old videos and learn many things about different elements. So this was my color property works. When it comes to the background color, it's quite simple to understand. If I want to set the background color, I'll write background-color. And after that, I can write any color I prefer, whose name I know. For setting the background color, I will make my background completely black. I will write body for selector inside it. I will write property background color and set its value to black. So when we refresh it, the entire website's background turned black. This way, I can also set the background of this button and heading. Like, the background color of this button is by default white. If I want to change its background, then I will simply write button for selector and write property background color with value green. After refreshing, this button is showing with green background color. Now, one important thing in CS, we don't need to write selectors with same name for different properties. We can write many properties in one selector. For example, I want to set colors for both the background color and color for button. So I will simply remove second button selector and write background color property with color property in the first button selector. After saving this, nothing will change because we have not changed values. By using the selector once, I can set multiple properties. In this case, I have set the color and set the background color. So the web page you see now might resemble websites from a very old era. Those who have seen their web during that time will recall how Google looked at the very beginning. So this page is displaying a flavor just like that, where buttons have changed quite a bit in terms of color. There's no color sense. It's displaying very bold colors. Even if you're a complete beginner, just learn about property when you will create different web projects. Then you will try to make your website beautiful as much as possible, and this will also help you to enhance your web development skills. For now, we can say that whatever things we create will be very beautiful, of a very good level. Because whenever a company designs a web page, they hire professionals who have years of experience, and they hire different developers for different parts of web page, like first a front-end designer design the website layout with different properties of CSS. When the proper design will complete, then it will hand it over to a back-end developer who knows things like extreme JavaScript. Then the back-end developer recreates the design using their code and put different functions in website. Some big companies hire more developers for make their website more detailed and perfect. So if your design is not looking good now, then don't be depressed. And think, how can I make it good? Now, if we want to make this web page a bit more attractive, we can give it different colors. Just refresh. So what happened? No heading, paragraph, and button color is matching to each other. Now you have noticed that I have written RGB and some numbers instead of color name for value. Next, let's talk about it. We have given quite a lot of colors with the color name. But what if I want to use darker or lighter shade of any color? For that, we have our color system. There are different types of color systems are present, but the mostly used color systems are RGB and hex. First, let's talk about RGB. In RGB, R denotes red color, G denotes green color, and B denotes blue color. We have learnt in our school that all colors are made by primary colors, red, green, and blue. We also use this small thing in our color system. Like if we want to create purple color, then we will use red and blue in same quantity. If we want to create yellow color, then we will use red and green color in same quantity. If we want to create sky blue color, then we will use blue and green in same quantity. If we want to create white color, then we will use red, green, and blue in same quantity. In RGB color system, for set this quantity of primary colors, we write RGB first and then opening bracket, amount of red comma, amount of green comma, amount of blue, and closing bracket. The amount of these colors are measured between 0 to 250. 0 denotes minimum amount of that color, and 255 denotes minimum amount of that color. For example, if we want red color, then we will set red amount 255 and we will set remaining primary colors amount 0 in this 0, representing none of that color, and 255 representing the maximum intensity of that color. Similarly, if we want green color, then we will set green amount 255 and we will set remaining primary colors amount 0. Let's set background color of our web page red in RGB color system. After saving our background, color is changed to red. Suppose I had to change my background color to yellow. As we all know, for creating yellow color, we use red and green colors in equal amount. So we will write red amount 255, green amount 255, and blue amount 0 because we don't need blue color for creating yellow color. After saving, our background is changed to yellow. What happened if we decrease red amount after saving? We will see our background is changed to light green. Similarly, if we decrease amount of green instead of red. After saving, we will see our background is changed to dark orange. Maybe you are scared of thinking about how can you remember all colors RGB codes? Don't be scared of that, because in web development or any other coding related stuff where you need to use color system, then simply go to Google and search color picker. It will provide you a color picker option on your screen where you can select the color that you need. And then it will give you different color system color code for your chosen color. Like I have selected purple color. Now I will simply copy its RGB code and paste it in our background color. After saving, we will see our web page background color is changed to dark purple. Next, let's talk about the hex color system. We call this hex color system because it defined color code with only 6 codes. Just think of it as a shortcut to write RGB code. For writing a hex color code, first we write hashtag, and then we write 6 values for selecting the color. In these 6 values, first 2 are for red, middle 2 are for green, and last 2 are for blue. We use 16 digits for set. These values in which first 10 digits are 0 to 9, and the last 6 digits are A to F. We use decimals inside it. That's why we call it hexadecimals. For example, if I want to use red color, then I will write FF for red value, and for green and blue, I will use 00. What does this 00 mean? It means that I have not used any amount of green and blue color, so my color will be completely red. Similarly, if I want to use color green, then I'll write FF for green and 00 for red and blue. This will give me the complete green color. When writing hexadecimal numbers, we always put a hash in front. The hashtag is always necessary for using hex color system. Otherwise, our colors won't work. We can also test it a bit. If I want to set the red color as my background, what can I do? I'll write hash FF0000, save, refresh. Now we will see background is changed to red. Similarly, if you want to change background to green, then simply write hash 00 FF00. After saving, we will see background is changed to green. If you want to change it to yellow, then we will write hash FFFF00. As we already know, for creating yellow color, we need red and green color. After saving, we will see our background is changed to yellow. Just like RGB color code, you don't need to learn all color codes for hexadecimal. You can simply copy the hex code of any color that you will choose. For example, here I have selected blue color and copied its hex code. Now we paste it for background color. After saving, we will see background is changed to dark blue. If you are facing the problem like which color combination will look nice to your website, then don't be worried for that. Search Color Patty on Google and click on any website which is appearing. These websites provide you different color combinations that will look nice to your website. You can use these for your web page. Now let's talk about different types of selectors. The first one is Universal Selector. Properties that we write inside this selector will apply to all tags. For example, let's remove our all previous styling from our CSS file. After saving, we see that all the styling was removed from web page and only default color black is appearing. Now, we will write Universal Selector. For that, we write star instead of tag name and write property color with value purple. After saving, we will see all elements that are present on our web page, like heading, paragraph, and button is appearing in purple. Let's change its value to blue. After saving, we will see our elements are appearing in blue. The second selector is Element Selector. We use this property to style single element. For example, if I want to change H1 color to green, then I will simply write element name inside it. I will write property color and value green. After saving, we will see our heading is appearing in green. You notice that remaining elements like paragraph and button are still in purple. because universal selector is still applicable for other elements. It is also applicable for H1, but our element selector is taking priority. In CSS, if we create two element selectors for same element with same property, but with different values, then the value of last one will be applicable for element. In this case, universal selector apply purple color to all elements, including H1. So it is working like element selector of H1. So value green of other H1 selector is taking priority because it is written in the last. Similarly, if I write element selector for button, and inside it we will write property color and value brown. After saving, we will see our button color is now brown, but our paragraph color is still blue because now universal selector is working as element selector for both H1 and heading. So the color value brown, which is written inside the last element selector of button, is taking priority. Now let's talk about third selector, which is our ID selector. It is similar to element selector. The only different thing is that we need to write ID attribute inside the element tag and write a value inside this attribute. For writing ID selector, we write hash then value that we have written inside the ID attribute, and in last we write property with a value. The main advantage of using ID selector is that we can provide same properties to different elements by providing them ID attribute but with same value. For example, I have created 3 headings here. I will provide ID attribute to all headings and use values heading 1, heading 2, heading 3 for these attributes. After saving our HTML file, we will write our ID selectors for these headings. For styling first heading, we write hash then value of ID attribute of first heading, which is heading 1. Now we use property color with value yellow. After saving, our first heading is appearing in yellow. Similarly, for styling second heading, we write hash, then value of ID attribute of second heading, which is heading 2. Now we use property color with value chocolate. After saving, our second heading is appearing in chocolate. Now let's change the color of third heading. For that, we write hash, then value of ID attribute of third heading, which is heading 3. Now we use property color with value, magenta. After saving, our third heading is appearing in magenta. Now if we write same ID and value of third heading for paragraph, after saving, we will see our paragraph is also appearing in magenta. The fourth selector is class selector. This selector is mostly similar to ID selector. The thing that is different is format. Just like ID selector, we write a class attribute inside the element tag with a value. To create class selector, we write dot, then the value which we have written inside the class attribute. Finally, inside this class selector, we write property and its value. One more thing, we can apply same property of class selector on multiple elements by writing class attributes with same value inside multiple element tags, just like ID selector. Let's try it. I will remove ID attribute from third heading and paragraph. Now I will write class attribute with value my class inside both elements tags. After saving HTML, I will simply replace last ID selector with class selector. For that, I will remove hash heading 3 and write dot then value of class attribute, which is my class. I will not change the property and its value. After saving, we will see third heading and paragraph is still appearing in magenta because I have not changed property value yet. If you want to change color of third heading and paragraph, then you will simply change the property value to any other color. Now let's move to our practice set 1. The first question of this set says that create a simple div with an ID box and then add some text content inside the div, set its background color to blue. Now let's try it. First, we will create a div with ID box. It means inside this div tag, we write ID attribute with value box. Next, we will write some random texts inside this div. After saving our HTML, we will see our text is appearing in black color. Now let's move to CSS file. Here we will use ID selector for selecting our div because we have already written div attribute with a value box inside the div tag. So we will use that value here. We write hash, then our ID value, which is box, and in the last, we will write property background color with value blue. After saving, we will see our texts are appearing with a blue background. You can see that our text color is not clearly visible with blue background, so I will simply add another property, which is color, with the value white. After saving, we will see our texts are appearing in white, but the question not said to do it, so I will comment out it. If we comment out anything, then it not show any effect on our website, and it is only visible to the person who will see our web page codes. For example, if I will comment out our color property and its value for that first, I will write /star. Then the thing I want to comment out, then star and again / after saving. We will see our color property is showing any effect on our text. That is what comment will do. Encodes nothing, but it divide our code into different parts, which will helpful for making changes in our code. We can easily find the part which we want to change. Now let's move to the second question of practice set 1. It says that create 3 headings with H1, H2, H3, then give them all a class heading and set color of heading to red. Let's try it. First, I will create 3 headings with H1, H2, H3, then I will write class attribute in each heading tag with value heading. After saving HTML, we move to CSS. We use class selector for that. We write dot then class attribute value, which is heading according to question inside it. I will write property color with value red. After saving, we will see our heading are appearing in red. We can do same thing differently for that. First, we comment out our class selector. After that, I will use single element selector, but for 3 different heading elements. To use single element selector for different elements, simply we write first element tag name, comma, second element tag name, comma, and last element tag name. You can add elements as much as you want. In last, we write property and its value, just like any other selector. For apply this on our headings, I will write H1, comma, H2, comma, H3, then property color with value red. After saving, we will see nothing will change because we have not changed property value. Now let's move to the third question of practice set 1. It says, create a button and set its background color to green by CSS styling, to blue by style tag, and to pink by inline styling. Let's try it. First, I will create a button by button tag. Now we will move to first step, which is set its background color green by CSS Style Sheet. For that, we use element selector. We write button, then property background color with value green. After saving, we will see our button is appearing with green background. Now we will move to second step, which is set its background color blue by style tag. For that, we write style tag inside the head tag. Then we will use element selector here, which is button. After that, we will write property background color with value blue. After saving, we will see our button is appearing with blue background. Here you have noticed that I have written 2 different values of same property for same element, but it's accepting only blue value because in CSS, the thing that we will write in last will apply first. That is why style tag is taking advantage. But if we replace the sequence of link and style tag, after saving, we will see our button is appearing with green background again because now CSS Style Sheet, which is connected to HTML by linking, is written after style tag. So CSS Style Sheet is taking priority. Now the final step, which is set its background color to pink with inline styling. For that, we will write style attribute with property background color and value pink. After saving, we will see our button is appearing with pink background. Because now inline styling is taking priority, inline styling is always priorities in any case. For example, if you move this button to above the style tag and link inside the head tag, now it will be on top in sequence, but still inline styling will take priority because inline styling not follow the sequence. Now let's move to our next property, which is text property. In CSS, multiple text properties are present. We will discuss them here. First, we talk about the text align. Text align helps us to move our text. The 3 main values for this property are left, right, and center. Let's try it. I will write random texts in pre-tag. After saving, we will see these texts are appearing on the left side of our web page, because by default, texts are aligned to left. Now I want to change its alignment to right, so I will select pre-tag by element selector inside it. I will write property text, align with value right. After saving, we will see our text is moved to right, if you will change its value to left. After saving, our text will again move to left. Similarly, if you want to move your text to center, then simply change the value to center. After saving, our text will move to center. Let's take another example for that. First, I will create a heading. After saving, we will see our heading is aligned to left by default. If I want to change it, then I will use element selector for heading inside it. We will use property text align with value right. After saving, we will see our heading is moved to right. Similarly, if I want to move it to center, then I will change value to center. After saving, our heading is moved to center. Now, one important thing a line of text is depend on parent tag. Let's try to understand it here. Our heading and paragraph is moved inside the whole web page because their parent tag is body. For example, if I will create a div tag and inside this div tag I will create a paragraph tag, then div tag will be the parent tag of paragraph tag and paragraph tag will be the child of div tag. Now, if we apply text align property on paragraph tag, then it will move inside the div tag only, and its alignment will define by the size of div tag, not by whole web page. We know that all softwares should be upgraded at a point of time similarly in our CSS. We also have done multiple upgrades. The newest one is CSS3. Within CSS3, 2 more values for text alignment were added. First one is my start value, and second one is my end value. Start value will work as left alignment if all my text is written in English or any language which we write from left to right. But if all my text is written some other language which we write from right to left, like Urdu, then start value work as right alignment. Similarly, if our text is written in language which start from left to right, then end value will work as right alignment. And for language which will be written from right to left, then end value will work as left alignment. Let's try it on our paragraph. First, we will write start for our text align property. After saving, we will see our paragraph is moved to left. Similarly, if we write end for value of text align property, after saving, we will see our paragraph is moved to right. Next text property is text decoration. Text decoration have three values: underline, overline, and line through. Just like their name, underline value create a line under the text, overline create a line over the text, and line through create a line through the text. Let's try it on our heading. First, we will write text decoration property inside the element selector of heading, and then we set this property value underline. After saving, we will see a line below our heading is appearing. Now let's change the property value to overline. After saving, we will see a line above our heading is appearing. If we will change its value to line through. After saving, we will see a line is passing through our heading. Let's take another example for it. First, we will write our anchor tag with text click me. After saving, we will see a line is appearing under the click me, because anchor tag by default have an underline. If we want to remove it, then first we use element selector for anchor tag, then we use text decoration property with value none. Value none means nothing. We use this value if we don't want to show any type of text decoration. After saving, we will see underline is now removed from click me. Now let me share one more thing with you guys. If you search MDN text decoration on browser and go to the first website, then it will provide you more content related to text decoration and other web development things. You can use this website to gain more knowledge about web development. Like if you want to change color, size, structure of text alignment, then here you can see combinations of different values. Let's try some of these for our heading. First, we will use red color for underline. We don't need to change anything inside our heading selector. We just write red with underline for property value. After saving, we will see a red line appears below our heading. Similarly, if I want to change its color to blue, then I will replace red to blue. After saving, we will see our heading is appearing with a blue line below it. Now, if I want that straight line changed to wavy line, for that, I will add wavy word with blue and underline at the place of property value. After saving, a wavy blue line will appear below our heading. If I want to change this wavy line to dotted line, for that, I will simply replace wavy word with dotted word. After saving, we will see a blue dotted line appears below our heading. You can check MDN website for learning more about web development. Next text property is font weight. It tells me how light or dark the text I've written is, so I can set multiple values for any text. We can set it to normal, make the text bold, bolder than bold, or lighter than normal. In this way, we can set different font weights. Let's try it once. I have created these 4 headings. Next, I will write ID attributes inside these headings with value H1, H2, H3, H4. Then we'll select these headings with the help of ID selector. First, we will create ID selector for first heading with property font weight and value normal after saving. We will see first heading have changed to normal font weight as compared to other heading, because by default H1 have bolder font weight. Similarly, we will create an ID selector for second heading for same property, but with value bold. After saving, you will notice a very minor change in weight of third heading and second heading. Next, I will create ID selector for third heading for same property, but with value bolder. After saving, nothing will happen because I've already told you that H1 have by default bolder weight. Let's replace this bolder to lighter. After saving, we will see our third heading appears with lighter weight. For our text weight, we can also use numbers instead of values in the form of range. Text weight range is from 100 to 900, where 100 denote lighter weight and 900 denote bolder weight. Let's try it on our headings. For that, first we will remove our values from ID selectors and write 100 for first heading, 250 for second heading, 600 for third heading, and 900 for fourth heading. After saving, we will see first and second headings have light weight as compared to third and fourth heading. Our next text property is font family. Font family property is helpful in font styling. You can see in the image that there are different types of font styles are present, and weaken these font styles inside our web page with the help of font family property. Let's try it. First, we will create 2 paragraphs with ID attributes and values 1 and 2. Now we will create an ID selector for first paragraph with the help of its ID value, which is 1. Inside it, we will write property font family with value Arial. After saving, we will see our first paragraph font style is different as compared to second paragraph. Now let's create a ID selector for second paragraph with same property and value CSS. After saving, we will see our second paragraph font style is changed. You can also use multiple values font family inside a single selector. For that, we just need write first value, comma, second value at the place of font family value. You can add more values, like here I have written 4 values, but after saving it will only apply one of these values. Let me explain you what happened here. When people will open your website, then they will open it in different browsers, and some font family values like Roboto are not working on all browsers. So when we write multiple values, then first value will apply first. But if first value is not supported on browser, then it will apply second value similarly. If second value is also not supported on browser, then it will apply third value. Here are some different types of generic font families and specific font families. You can imagine generic font families as parents of specific font families because specific font families are created from generic font families. That is why you can see similarity between these font families. For example, Arial is created from sans serif. So you can see similarity between Arial and sans serif. Next, we will talk about unit in CSS. For measuring different things like distance, we use different units like meter. Similarly, in CSS, we have units like pixel and points for measure height, weight, padding, margin, font size, and more. The mostly used unit is pixel. Inside CSS, we write px instead of pixel. 1 inch is equal to 96 pixels, which is approximately 2.5 centimeter. Let's try it for font size. First, I will create 3 paragraphs with ID values 1, 2, and then I will create ID selectors for these 3 paragraphs. Inside these selector, we will write property font size. For first paragraph selector, we use font size 25px, and for third paragraph, we use font size 10px. After saving, we will see second paragraph have default font size, first paragraph have big font size as compared to default font size, and third paragraph have small font size as compared to default font size. Next text property is line height. Line height is helpful for increasing and decreasing the gap between 2 or more lines. For example, here I have only 1 line as first paragraph, but what if our first paragraph have multiple lines? After saving, we will see our first paragraph is appearing with default gap between lines. Now I will add line height property to first paragraph selector with value 2px. After saving, we will see gap between paragraph lines is decreased and they are overlapping each other. What if I will change its value to 50px? After saving, we will see gap between paragraph lines is increased. Now if we set its value to normal, then after saving, we will see that gap between paragraph lines is now default gap. Next text property is text transformation. Text transformation have 4 values: uppercase, lowercase, capitalize, and none. Uppercase value transform all alphabets of our text in capital letters. Lowercase value transform all alphabets of our text in small letter. Capitalize value transform only first alphabet of our text in capital letter, and none value not apply any type of text transformation. For example, here if I will add text transformation property inside the first paragraph selector with value uppercase. After saving, we will see all alphabets of each word are now capital. Now if I will change its value to lowercase. After saving, we will see all alphabets of each word are now small. Similarly, if we change the value to capitalize, then after saving, we will see first alphabet of each letter is now capital. Next, we will move to our practice set 2. Question number 1 of practice set 2 says that create a heading centered on the page with all of its text capitalized by default. Let's try it. First, I will create a heading, androcoder. Then next, we use element selector for this heading. Inside this selector, we write property text, align with value center. After saving, we will see our heading is appearing in the center of web page. Next, we have to set it in capital letters with the help of text transformation. But I have already written heading in capital letters, so first I will edit it. Now I will add text transformation property inside the selector with value capitalize. After saving, we will see our heading first alphabets are appearing in capital letter. Question number 2 of practice set 2 says that set the font family of all the content in the document to Times New Roman. Let's try it. First, we write universal selector for selecting whole document. Then inside it, we will write property font family with value Times New Roman. After saving, we will see our heading font style is changed. Question number 3 of practice set 2 says that create one div inside the another, then set ID and text outer for first one and inner for second one. Set the outer div font size 25px and inner div font size 10px. Let's try it. First, I will create a div with text and ID outer. Inside this div, I will create another div with text and ID inner. Now I will create ID selectors for both divs with property font size. Inside outer div selector, I will write 25px font size, and inside inner div selector, I will write 10px font size. After saving, we will see our outer div font is appearing big as compared to inner div font. In today's video, we have learned about CSS styling, different types of color properties, color system, different types of selectors, different types of text properties, and in the end, we have tried our practice questions. I have promised you all that I will provide a Visual Studio Code replica for your mobile. Let me show you the image of that application. I am working hard for you all, so please help me to get 300 subscribers till the end of October, and don't forget to subscribe to the Andro Coder channel and turn on those notifications so you can stay up to date with our coding tutorials and exciting web projects. Thank you for joining me today, and until next time, happy coding. That's a wrap for today's video. If you found this information helpful, don't hesitate to give us a thumbs up and leave your comments down below. Share this video with anyone you know who's interested in learning coding on their mobile device. As always, stay curious, keep coding, and I'll catch you in the next video. Take care and bye-bye.